Ay, 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 ay. Okay, Bismillah, we're live.
Alhamdulillah. One second. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام الأتمان الأكملان على محمد رسول الله سيد الأولين والآخرين وإمام الأنبياء والمرسلين والشافع المشفع يوم الدين وعلى آله الطيبين وأزواجه الطاهرات أمهات المؤمنين وصحابته الغر الميامين ومن استنى بسنته واهتدى بهديه إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد، حياكم الله أيها الإخوة والأخوات إلى هذا اللقاء الخاص بهذا الموضوع الهام، وهو موضوع الاحتفالات في الإسلام، المباح منها والمحظور. نعم.
Indeed, all praises are due to Allah, and may the most complete and full salutations be showered upon Muhammad, the Messenger of Allah, the leader of the first and the last, the Imam of the prophets and messengers, the intercessor whose intercession will be accepted on the day of recompense, and also may those complete and full salutations be showered upon his family and distinguished companions, and upon his pure wives, the mothers of the believers, and those people who take his example as an example to be followed and seek his guidance as guidance to be adhered to until the day of recompense. To proceed, I welcome you all, my brothers and sisters, to another evening of lectures with Islam for Deaf. And tonight's lecture is around a very important topic, and that's the topic of the concept of celebrations in our religion, al-Islam, those celebrations that are permitted and those that are not permitted.
لم يحرم الإسلام الاحتفالات، بل الإسلام هو دين بهجة ودين فرح ودين سرور، ولهذا قال الله عز وجل في محكم التنزيل لما أرسل نبينا محمدا صلى الله عليه وسلم، قال سبحانه وتعالى في سورة يونس في الآية 58 منها: قل بفضل الله وبرحمته فبذلك فليفرحوا هو خير مما يجمعون. فأقر الله عز وجل الفرح، لكن الفرح لا يكون بما هو ضرر في الدنيا أو في الآخرة، وإنما يكون بما أو يحصل بما يكون منه الخير، وسنبين ذلك إن شاء الله.
The religion of al-Islam, it's not a faith or a way of life or a religion that has prohibited celebrations and festivities as a general rule. Islam is a religion whereby happiness and merriment are things to be encouraged, and it actively does so. Allah the Most High says in the chapter of Jonah, verse number 58, that which means, say, O Prophet, in the bounty of Allah and in his mercy, in that let them rejoice, let them be happy. It is better than what they accumulate, meaning from the life of the world, the wealth. So here, Allah the Most High, he shows that it's fitting for the believers to be happy with that which he ordered, and to be happy and to rejoice. So these are principles that are recognized in al-Islam. However, this happiness is not to the expense of the hereafter, or not at the expense of the hereafter, or at the expense of doing or going over Allah's boundaries. Rather, this rejoicing and this happiness is to be done in conformity with the Islamic legislation and in all that which is good.
الاحتفالات إما أن تكون موسمية تعود كل موسم، أو أنها آنية تكون في تلك اللحظة في ذلك اليوم وينتهي ولا يعاد إليها. فما كان منها آني مثل احتفال بزواج أو احتفال بتخرج من جامعة أو غيره، أو احتفال باستقبال مولود، أو احتفال بعود من سفر أو نحو ذلك، فهذه من العادات، والأصل في العادات الإباحة ولا محظور فيها.
And when we look at the types of festivals and celebrations, we find that there are two types. There are those festivals and celebrations that are seasonal, or that are due to a particular season or due to a particular kind of commemorative annual event, they're seasonal. And there are those that are not fixed, rather they are due to a reason and they're relevant to a particular time. So an example or examples of this second type of celebrations that are only in a particular time is the celebration, for example, of marriage. When it's celebrated on that day, and that's it. Similarly, when an individual graduates from university, there is a permitted celebration, or celebration is permitted, but it's something that's celebrated on that day. When an individual returns from traveling and is received by their family, there again may be a celebration. And the root for all of these celebrations and the norm as relates to them is that they are permitted in the Islamic legislation.
وأيا كانت الاحتفالات سواء كانت الموسمية المباحة أو الآنية، فإنه يجب حتى تكون جائزة مباحة يجب أن تخلو من أربعة أمور. يجب أن تخلو من أربعة أمور، هذا مطلق في الجميع. أما الموسمية فسنبين أمرا آخر إن شاء الله. يجب أن تخلو من الاختلاط بين الجنسين الرجال والنساء، فيجب أن يفصل بين الرجال والنساء، لأن الناس في الاحتفالات عادة ما تبدو بأبهى وأجمل حلة وصورة، ويلبسون أنفس ما لديهم من ثياب، وهذه مدعاة لوقوع المحظور بين الإناث والذكور. نعم.
So when we look at these different types of celebrations, whether they be celebrations that are seasonal or whether they are due to a specific event and just relevant at one particular time, we find that in order for them to be permitted in Al-Islam, there are 4 conditions or 4 prerequisites that must be fulfilled. And there is a further one when we talk about the events that are seasonal, but we will mention this additional one afterwards. The first of these prerequisites is that there should be no free mixing, and this is for the reason and the wisdom that when people partake in such celebrations and festivals, they would generally do so in order to celebrate it, they would do so beautifying themselves and wearing their very, very best clothes. And in order for the illicit actions not occurring and not happening, then the mixing between the genders should not happen at these events.
والثاني مما ينبغي اجتنابه حتى يكون هذا الاحتفال مباحا المعازف، فإن المعازف مزامير الشيطان، وهي تبعث على الخنا والانغماس في الرذيلة، ولذلك لا يجوز أن يصحب الاحتفال معازف، ولا بأس بالدف وليس الطبل، ففرق بين الدف والطبل. فالدف هو ذلك القرص الكبير، ويكون به جلد من ناحية واحدة، وأما الطبل فهو أداة مقعرة تبدأ بفتحة كبيرة مغطاة بالجلد، وتنتهي بفتحة صغيرة يخرج منها الصوت، أو قد يكون بنفس الحجم، بنفس قطر الدائرة من فوق ومن أسفل، ويكون مغطى من الجنبين بالجلد، وله عمق كأن يكون نصف متر أو نحوها. هذه تسمى طبل، يسمى طبلا ولا يسمى دفا. فالدف وقعه على النفوس أخف، أما الطبل فهو يبعث على بواعث شيطانية تجعل الناس يهتزون بصورة جنونية كالمجانين والمجاذيب، ولهذا هو محرم. فإن كل صوت يدفع الإنسان على الخروج من إطاره الإنساني حتى يشبه الحيوان، فإن هذا محرم في الشرع، لأن الإنسان مكرم. قال الله عز وجل: ولقد كرمنا بني آدم. ولهذا حرم الله عز وجل الأصوات المنكرة كرفع الصوت وغير ذلك، كما قال الله عز وجل في سورة لقمان في وصايا لقمان لابنه، قال واخفض من صوتك، قال إن أنكر الأصوات لصوت الحمير، يعني لا ترفع صوتك، فإن الصوت العالي ليس بأمر مستحب. لذلك يعني الشرع نهى عن تقليد الإنسان للحيوان في أفعاله وأصواته وأيضا انجذاباته بمفتعلات كالمعازف وغيرها، فإن هذه أمور لا تحسن بالإنسان، فهو مكرم من الله جل وعلا.
The second of these prerequisites is that there are no musical instruments that are used at these events, as these musical instruments are in fact instruments of Satan. However, what is permissible is a certain type of drum called the duff, or the duff, and the duff, Tom, it's almost like a tambourine. It's not a drum. It's like a tambourine, but without those little cymbals that are around the side of the tambourine that jingle, without the little bell things and the jingles. So it's like a small hand drum that has skin on the top, the taut skin. And this is not like what the Sheikh called the tabl. And the tabl is a drum in, I suppose, a hand drum in kind of the normal sense. So there's like you're doing, Tom. So it may have a kind of skin on the top, and then it might start wide, and then as it goes down, it gets narrower and narrower, and that's put on the floor and beaten on. Or it could be the fact that it's a drum on both sides. So it's got skin on both sides, and it's like half a meter in length. So this is a different instrument, and this is an instrument that is not permissible.
هل هذا واضح؟ عفوا. هل هذا واضح؟
أي واضح. So هذا هو الدف.
هذا الدف، وأريكم الطبل أيضا.
So the Sheikh just showed us that picture, and that was the duf. That was the permitted one. the kind of one that's like a tambourine. And the Sheikh's getting a picture of the tabl.
هذا نوع من أنواع الطبل.
And this is a type from the types of the tabl. So you can see that this is not permitted.
وهذا نوع آخر.
This is another type of the drum that's not permitted.
وأيضا سأريك نوع آخر، وهذا أيضا نوع آخر الذي قلت هو متساوي في القطر لكن مغطى بالجلد من الجنبين.
Yes, and this is another type that has a drum on both sides. هذا يسمى عندنا الطبل كذلك الهنود.
هو كذلك نعم.
Yep, and that was another type. So we can see the type that is permitted and the type that is not. And the reason that those various drums that the Sheikh showed us pictures of, the reason they are not permitted is the fact that they have satanic connotations. So due to this, it's impermissible to use them. Similarly, there are some of these sounds that resonate, and they may sound like the sound of the bellowing of an animal or a creature. And Allah the Most High, He has said in the Quran, indeed, we have given nobility to the children of Adam. So the children of Adam, humankind, they are ordered not to imitate and mimic animals in their speech, nor in their actions, nor in their conduct. And to do so is are acts that are impermissible. And also the Muslim is ordered to be careful about their speech, i.e. in terms of the manner of their speech. So to speak with a loud voice and to shout, this is something that is impermissible in Islam. And this is as Allah referred to in the chapter of the Quran, the chapter of Luqman, where Luqman, the wise, he gave advice to his son. And he said to his son, indeed, lower your voice. The most detested voice to Allah is like the braying of a donkey. So in summary, these are the things that the individual and the people are prohibited from doing, from mimicking animals in terms of their sounds, in terms of their actions, and in terms of their conduct and the way that they carry themselves. And this is due to the nobility that Allah, the Most High, has granted and given to humankind.
ومن الأمور التي يجب اجتنابها في الاحتفالات الآنية وحتى في الاحتفالات السنوية المحرم من الطعام والشراب. فالاحتفال لا يبيح لنا أكل أو شرب أو تقديم ما هو محرم، فإن هذا ما هو محرم في شريعتنا، في شريعة الإسلام، فإن هذا محرم على الدوام في الاحتفالات وفي غيرها. فلا يجوز تعاطي الخمر ولا الخنزير ولا ما لم يذبح ولا ما ذبح لغير الله، فإن هذا كله محرم ولا يجوز تعاطيه من قبل المسلمين. نعم.
In addition to this, one of those prerequisites is that the individual should not eat or consume, nor should they put forward and offer food and drinks that are prohibited and impermissible in the religion of Al-Islam. And this is the case during these festivals and indeed outside of these festivals. So this might include things such as alcohol, things such as pork, things such as meats and animals that have not been slaughtered according to Islamic legislation. So these are things that are not permitted. So the festival, in order for it to be permissible, it should not have any of these impermitted items of food or drink.
ومما يجب اجتنابه أيضا في الاحتفالات سواء الآنية أو السنوية الإسراف والتبذير في الطعام والشراب، وكذلك فيما يتخذ في إعداد المكان وغيره، فلا ينبغي المبالغة، فإن في الناس من هم محاويج لا يجدون طعاما ولا شرابا ولا مأوى يكنهم من برد ويظلهم من شمس، فينبغي الإنسان إذا فرح أن لا يبطر النعم ويسرف في هذه الأمور، وينبغي الاعتدال كما قال الله عز وجل والذين في سورة الفقهاء قال والذين إذا أنفقوا لم يسرفوا ولم يقتروا وكان بين ذلك قواما. نعم.
The next thing that the individuals and the people must pay attention to is that they're not excessive and they're not wasteful. And this is in terms of the food and the drink, but also the place and I suppose the decor and other than that, that relates to the celebration, not to be wasteful or overly extravagant. And that's because there are people who don't have, there are people who are living hand to mouth, and I suppose they should be supported. So the money is better to support them. So when the individual is happy, then they should not be excessive in their celebrations. And this is as Allah the Most High, He describes the believers as being those who spend not in excess, nor are they miserly, but they're balanced between these two.
ومما ينبغي أيضا أن يستحضر عند هذا هو أن لا يجعل الاحتفال الآني كالزواج، احتفال الزواج أو عقيقة أو نحوها من الاحتفالات التي هي آنية وهي مباحة، يجب أن لا يقصر على الأغنياء ويقصى عنها الفقراء، فإن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال فيما جاء عند البخاري من حديث أبي هريرة رضي الله تعالى عنه قال شر الطعام طعام الوليمة يدعى لها الأغنياء ويترك الفقراء ومن ترك الدعوة فقد عصى الله ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم، أي من دعي ولم إلى وليمة يعني وليمة الزواج ولم يأتي فهو عاصي. وفي صحيح مسلم من حديث أبي هريرة أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كان يقول بئس الطعام، هناك قال شر الطعام وهنا قال بئس الطعام طعام الوليمة يدعى إليه الأغنياء ويترك المساكين، فمن لم يأتي الدعوة فقد عصى الله ورسوله، أي من دعي ولم يحضر لغير عذر شرعي فهو عاص. نعم.
And it should also be noted that these commemorative celebrations, these celebrations that happen due to a specific event like marriage, the invitation should not only be extended to the rich people and the people of status. And this is as the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, mentioned in the narration collected by Imam Bukhari and reported by Abu Hurairah, may Allah be pleased with him, that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, the most evil of food is the food of the walima, the food of the marriage celebration, to which the rich people are called to and none of the poor people are called. And indeed, the one who is called and invited to this marriage celebration and does not attend is disobedient. And in a similar narration that's been collected by Imam Muslim, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, how evil or how despicable, it's not evil actually, it's more despicable, how despicable or the most despicable of food is the food of the marriage celebration where the rich are invited and the poor are not invited. And indeed, whosoever is invited to this celebration and does not attend, i.e., they do not attend with no legitimate excuse or reason in the legislation, then indeed they have been disobedient to Allah and His Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him.
وأما بالنسبة للاحتفالات الموسمية فإن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قد أبطل ذلك، وجعل للمسلمين احتفالات موسمية محددة. لا يجوز للمسلمين اختراع غيرها ولا تقليد غيرهم فيما يكون من احتفالاتهم الموسمية التي تعود، وهي تسمى أعيادا، والأعياد جمع عيد، والعيد هو ما يعود. العيد هو ما يعود من اسمه عاد يعود عودا، فهو عيدا أي يعود. ولهذا فإن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال في الحديث المتفق على صحته لما دخل أبو بكر الصديق عليه فوجد عنده يوم العيد فوجد عنده جاريتين تلعبان بالدف، فزجرهما، فقال له النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم: دعهما فإن لكل قوم عيدا وهذا عيدنا. فهذا يدل على أنه لا بأس بإظهار الفرح بالضرب بالدف يوم العيد، أي العيد الشرعي الذي سنبينه بعد قليل. نعم.
And we should add in relation to the seasonal Eids that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, he deemed all of these to be impermissible, and he set up for the Muslims permitted celebrations and permitted festivals beyond which it's not permissible to create further ones or make up further ones. So the Muslims should not follow the lead of other nations and those people of other faiths in these types of celebrations. And the celebration in the Arabic language is called the Eid. So when we say Eid, it's Eid. This is from the Arabic verb ada, so to mean to return. Ada ya'udu eidan. So it's kind of like one of the forms of the verb to return, and it's called this because it repeats year after year. It comes back year after year, and it's seasonal. And the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, he said about this in the narration that is agreed upon. So it's been reported by Imam al-Bukhari and Muslim, may Allah have mercy upon them both, that when Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him, when he entered upon the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, on the day of Eid, he found with him two young servant girls who were beating the duf. They were beating the drum, the tambourine-like drum that we showed you earlier, the permitted one. And Abu Bakr, he was about to tell them off, or he told them to stop. But then the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said to Abu Bakr, he said, leave them. For indeed, every people have a celebration. Every people has or have their Eid. And indeed, this is our celebration. This is our festival. This is our Eid. So he showed us that there is no harm in beating this type of drum on this day as an act of celebration.
وأما عيدنا نحن المسلمون فهو على ثلاثة أقسام، أو هو ثلاث. عيد يعود كل أسبوع وهو عيد يوم الجمعة، فقد جاء في الحديث عند ابن ماجه أنه صلى الله عليه وسلم قال في يوم الجمعة: هذا يوم جعله الله عيدا، جعله الله للمسلمين عيدا، جعله الله للمسلمين عيدا. وهذا الحديث أخرجه ابن ماجه من حديث عبد الله بن عباس وصححه الألباني. قال إن هذا يوم عيد جعله الله للمسلمين عيدا، فمن جاء إلى الجمعة فليغتسل وإن كان طيب فليمس منه وعليكم بالسواك، لأن يوم العيد يحتاج إلى تنظف وتزين أكثر من غيره من الأيام. فيوم الجمعة وهو يأتي كل أسبوع، يعود كل أسبوع، هو يوم عيد، لكن المقصود منه اجتماعه في الجمعة، في خطبة الجمعة، ولقيهم ببعضهم البعض، لكن لا يكون بمثابة يوم الفطر والأضحى. نعم.
When we consider the different types of festivals, seasonal festivals that are permitted for the Muslims, we find that they are of three types. The first of these three types is the one that takes place and happens on a weekly basis, and this is the Friday or the Jumu'ah, because this day, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, he said it's a day of festival, or it's a day of Eid, and it's been reported or collected by the Imam Ibn Majah that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, indeed, this day, i.e. the day of Friday, is a day that Allah has made for the Muslims as an Eid, as a festival. So whosoever comes on Friday, i.e. to the Friday prayer, then they should wash, they should make the greater purification in washing, and they should wipe with musk so they smell good, and they should use the toothstick, the siwak. So taking care of one's cleanliness and their appearance is something that is more emphasized on this day. So yes, so it is an Eid, it is a day of festival, and the actual intent behind this festival and behind this Friday prayer is the gathering of the people. The people gather and they meet one another, and in this way it's a type of festival, weekly festival for the Muslims. However, it's not equal and it's not the same in status to the two festivals, the Eid of sacrifice, the Eid of Al-Adha, nor is it equal to the other Eid, the Eid of breaking the fast, the Eid al-Fitr.
ومن الأعياد اليومان العظيمان في الإسلام، وهما يوم الفطر وهو الذي يكون عقب آخر يوم من رمضان، ويوم الأضحى الذي يكون فيه ذبح الأضاحي، ويكون الحجيج فيه قد غادروا مزدلفة إلى منى. هذا اليوم العاشر من ذي الحجة واليوم الأول من شوال هما يوم العيد الرئيسيان في الإسلام، لحديث أنس بن مالك رضي الله عنه الذي رواه أبو داود في سننه بسند على شرط مسلم، قال قدم النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم المدينة ولهم، أي لأهل المدينة، يومان يلعبون فيهما، لأن أهل المدينة كانوا مخالطين لليهود الذين كانوا يسكنون المدينة، واليهود هم أهل كتاب وكان لهم أعياد، كان لهم يومان يلعبون فيهما، لأن هذا من الفرح والاستمتاع، كما قال الله عز وجل عن إخوة يوسف أنهم قالوا لأبيهم عن يوسف أرسله معنا غدا يرتع ويلعب، لأن اللعب في الأصل ليس من خلق المسلم أن يكون ديدنه اللعب، بل هو على الجد، لأنه في مهمة عظيمة وهي بناء دوره في الجنة، ولكن يعطى فسحة في هذا الزمن الذي يعيشه في الأرض حتى يستروح، فلا بأس أن يلعب يوم العيد، لا بأس أن يلعب يوم العيد بمعنى يفرح. قال صلى الله عليه وسلم قد أبدلكم الله بهما خيرا منهما يوم الفطر ويوم الأضحى، فهم لهم يومان وللمسلمين يومان، هذان اليومان هما يوم عيد الفطر عقب رمضان ويوم عيد الأضحى يوم 10 من ذي الحجة. نعم.
The second of these types of celebrations are the two great days of Eid that we've just mentioned, and they are the Eid of Fitr, the Eid of breaking the fast, which takes place after the final day of fasting of Ramadan, and the second is the Eid al-Adha, the Eid of sacrificing or slaughtering, and this is after the pilgrims leave Muzdalifah and they go to Mina in the rites of Hajj. In the Hajj rites, it's during this period. And these 2 days, these are the principal days of celebration for the Muslims. And it's been collected by Imam Abu Dawood on the authority of Anas. And it's a hadith that's in conformity to the conditions of شيخنا الحديث صحيح على شرط البخاري الإمام
على شرط مسلم.
أثابكم الله. It's authentic to the condition of Imam Muslim. May Allah have mercy upon him. That the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, he came to Medina and he found that the people, they had 2 days where they would have fun and frolics on these days. And this was because in Medina at that time, there were people from the Jews who were there, and they used to have days and festivals that they used to celebrate. And this is indicated when Yusuf's father, he told the brothers of Yusuf, send him with us tomorrow so they can have fun and they can play. So it shows that there is space to do this. However, the purpose and the norm for the Muslim is not that they have fun and they frolic and they play. However, the principal purpose and the main purpose behind the Muslims' life here in this world is that they prepare for themselves a good abode in the hereafter. However, there are opportunities where Allah the Most High has permitted for them to take part in fun, in legitimate fun, and frolicking. And this is, yes, and going back to the narration of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, he found that the people had 2 days that they would have fun and they would celebrate. And the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, indeed, Allah has given you 2 days, i.e. he's given the Muslims 2 days for you to celebrate the day of, or the celebration of breaking the fast and the celebration of sacrifice. These are the days that he has given you to celebrate.
وأيضا هناك يوم هو أيضا من العيد، لأن قلنا بأن اجتماع الناس يوم الجمعة صيره عيدا، وهذا اجتماع مصغر في مسجد يعني أهل الحي. وهناك اجتماع كبير وهو يوم عرفة، فإن أهل الإسلام من أقطار شتى يأتون إلى تلكم البقعة المباركة فيجتمعون طائعين لله مستنين بسنة رسول الله متجردين من ثيابهم من المخيط لابسين إزارا ورداء أبيضين الرجال منهم، ويرضون بالدعاء رافعي أكفهم إلى السماء يسألون الله من ظهيرة يوم عرفة إلى غروب شمسه. ولهذا كان ذلك اليوم أيضا يوم عيد كما جاء في الحديث المتفق في الحديث عند البخاري ومسلم من حديث ورواه أيضا الإمام أحمد عن طارق بن شهاب قال جاء رجل من اليهود إلى عمر بن الخطاب رضي الله عنه فقال يا أمير المؤمنين إنكم تقرؤون آية في كتابكم لو علينا معشر اليهود نزلت لاتخذنا ذلك اليوم عيدا أي يوم نزولها. قال وأي آية؟ قال قوله اليوم أكملت لكم دينكم. فقال عمر والله إني لأعلم اليوم الذي نزلت على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم والساعة التي نزلت فيها عشية عرفة يوم جمعة. العشية يعني بعد الظهر. فهذا يدل على أن يوم عرفة أيضا يوم عيد وابتهاج وفرح وسرور، لأن أهل الموقف يباهي الله بهم الملائكة، وغيرهم ممن صام ذلك اليوم يغفر الله له سنة كاملة. فلهذا كان حق المسلم في ذلك اليوم أن يفرح. نعم.
In addition to this, there is a day, and we have mentioned that the gathering of the Muslims on the Friday is a kind of Eid, due to this gathering on a small scale of the people in their communities. However, there is another day where the Muslims gather at one place on a much, much larger scale, and that's the day of Arafah, the day of Arafat in English. And this is a day where Muslims from the four corners of the globe come and they unite in their obedience to Allah the Most High, and they unite upon leaving their worldly garments and their worldly clothes, and they share the uniform clothes of wearing the shrouds of the pilgrims, and they open themselves up to Allah and they ask Him on the day of Arafah from the afternoon until the day ends, and they are united upon this. So it's a huge type of gathering, and this is something that's indicated in the hadith, in the narration that was collected by Imam al-Bukhari and Imam Muslim and Imam Ahmad on the authority of Tahir ibn Shihab. Tariq ibn Shihab, that a Jew came and said to Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, O leader of the believers, indeed there is a verse in your holy book which is read by all of you Muslims. Had it been revealed to us, i.e. had it been revealed to the Jews, we would have taken that day on which it was revealed as a day of celebration. Then Umar ibn al-Khattab, may Allah be pleased with him, asked, which is that verse? The individual replied, the verse is, indeed this day I have perfected for you your religion and completed my favor upon you and have chosen for you Islam as a religion. And Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, replied, no doubt we know when and where this verse was revealed to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. It was on a Friday, and the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was standing at Arafat on the day of Hajj. So this great day was also when this verse was revealed. So on this day, we also know that the angels envelop the pilgrims when they are on the plains of Arafat. And we also know that those who are not pilgrims, they take up the act of worship, the fasting on that day. And as a result of this fasting, they have 2 years worth of sins forgiven for them. So it's incumbent and it's only fitting that the Muslims are happy on this day, and they take this day as a day of happiness, and they commemorate it in this way that we have outlined.
ولما كان الاحتفال والفرح إنما يكون بما تفضل الله به لقوله سبحانه وتعالى قل بفضل الله وبرحمته فلذلك فليفرحوا. كان لزاما أن يكون احتفال المسلم بشيء قد احتفل به النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أو احتفل به في زمانه فسكت عنه وأقره. أما ما حدث بعد زمن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فإنه لا يجوز أبدا اتخاذه احتفالا ولا عيدا ولا مناسبة ولا مشاركة الآخرين فيه. وقد اخترع الناس لما تخلوا عن الشرع الذي نزل فيهم واستبدلوه بآرائهم، اخترعوا أشياء تعيضهم عن ذلك. فمثال ذلك عيد الأم، يجعلون لها يوما في السنة يهدونها فيه وردة، وبقية العام هم في قطيعة مع الأم. والإسلام أوجب على المسلم بر الأبوين وبالذات الأم، كما قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أمك ثم أمك ثم أمك. ولذلك فإن مشابهة الكفار في هذا أمر محرم. قد قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم في الحديث لتتبعن سنن من كان قبلكم حذو القدة بالقدة حتى لو دخلوا جحر ضب لدخلتموه. قالوا يا رسول الله، قال لتتبعن سنن من كان قبلكم شبرا بشبر وذراعا بذراع حتى لو دخلوا جحر ضب تبعتموهم. قلنا يا رسول الله اليهود والنصارى؟ قال فمن؟ أخرجه البخاري ومسلم. قوله في هذا الحديث، حديث أبي سعيد الخدري، اليهود والنصارى لأنهم أهل الكتاب وغيرهم ليسوا أهل الكتاب، فإن كان متابعة أهل الكتاب فيما أحدثوه محرم، فكيف بمتابعة غيرهم في أعيادهم وأمورهم التي هي من صميم دينهم؟ فإن هذا محرم أشد ولا شك ولا ريب. لذلك لا يجوز للمسلم أن يتابع الكفار في مثل هذه الأمور، لأنهم يقطعون أمهاتهم طيلة العام ويتذكرونها في يوم واحد وبعمل يسير. أما المسلم فمطالب ببر والديه وبالذات الأم طوال العام، بل لو نفذ ما طلب يعني الوالدان منه ومع تنفيذه أظهر شيء من الامتعاض فقال أف أو عبر بوجهه عن عدم الرضا، فإنه عاق لوالديه وهو غير مرض لربه. نعم.
So these celebrations that we have, these are times of joy and times of merriment. And when the Muslims celebrate, these types of celebrations are things that we take from the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and are things that we cannot introduce ourselves. However, as Islam spread and as the cultures entered into Al-Islam, certain festivals and certain practices were introduced that were the practices of other nations. And an example of this is Mother's Day. So Mother's Day is a day where people single out their mother to be good to them, whereas Al-Islam has shown us and emphasized the fact that the mother has a rank that is continual and she should be respected and honored always. And the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was asked by an individual, which of the people are most deserving of my company, i.e. who should I be around the most? And the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, your mother. Then he asked the question again, and he, peace and blessings be upon him, said, your mother. And then again, and he said, your mother. So your mother is the most deserving of all the people for you to be with and for you to accompany and honor. However, mimicking those who do not believe in these types of celebrations is something that is prohibited. And the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, indeed, you will follow the example of those who came before you, foot by foot, handspan by handspan, even if they were to enter into the hole of a lizard. And the companions asked, do you mean the Jews and the Christians? And the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, if not them, then who? And this was a narration that was reported by Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, and it was collected by Imams Bukhari and Muslim. So if this is the case with the Jews and the Christians, who are the people of the book, then how about if it's imitating and aping other than them? So the prohibition is even more stringent, and the case is even more relevant. And also the Sheikh, he mentioned the verse of the Quran that we've also mentioned from the chapter of Jonah. Say, in the bounty of Allah and in his mercy, in that let them rejoice. So it's in the bounty of Allah and his mercy. It is better than what they accumulate from the wealth of this world. So in this way, yes, so going back to the example of Mother's Day, the individual should not cut off from their mothers for the whole year and then make one specific day as a token day and a token gesture to show that they care about their mother. Rather, they should keep up a continual relationship and an ongoing relationship with their mother, and they should put up with any harm that they face in doing so. And as we have known and we have mentioned before, the Quran, it censures and it deems as blameworthy the individual who says uff, who even says this to their parents. So they should, meaning the children, the people, they should keep up these relationships with their mothers, and they should honor them the year throughout.
وأيضا مما ابتلي به الناس في هذه الأيام تقليد الكفار في مناسبات عدة، منها ما يستقبله الناس يوم غدهم، وهو ما يعرف بعيد الحب، وكأن بقية العام بغض ولا يكون الحب إلا في هذا اليوم. وهذا العيد هو عيد روماني جاهلي، أي من فترة ما قبل الإسلام، واستمر الاحتفال به بعد دخول الرومان حتى ما قبل النصرانية، ما قبل بعثة عيسى عليه السلام، واستمر الاحتفال به حتى بعد دخول الرومان في النصرانية، مع أن عيسى لم يحتفل به ولم يأتي به ولم يقره. وارتبط هذا العيد، عيد الحب، بالقديس الذي سمي العيد باسمه لاحقا، وهو فالنتاين. وهذا القديس حكم عليه بالإعدام في اليوم الذي يحتفلون به كل عام، وهو اليوم 14 من الشهر الثاني، ما يسمى بفبراير، وكان ذلك عام 270 بالتاريخ الميلادي. ولا زال الناس يحتفلون به، لكن عوضا عن أن يفرحوا فرحا يليق مثلا إن كان هذا نعمة، وهذا يدل احتفالهم وطريقة احتفالهم يدل على أنه ليس هذا اليوم والاحتفال به من النعم، لأنهم يشيعون فيه المنكر والفاحشة، ويشربون فيه الخمور، ويسمعون ويضربون المعازف، ويسرفون في المطاعم والمشارب، ويأكلون المحرم ويشربون المحرم وغير ذلك. هذه كلها دلالات على أن هذا اليوم ليس يوما يرتضيه الرب عز وجل. وسنبين الآن بعض النقولات عن أئمة الإسلام. نعم.
And one of the things that the people have been tried and tested with in latter times is imitation of those who do not believe in al-Islam and incorporating their celebrations, their customs and practices into al-Islam. So, for example, they will celebrate the birthdays, or they will celebrate Valentine's Day. And Valentine's Day, it's as though it's a day in which one shows love, and this demonstration of love is to be ignored throughout the other days, though it's as though the other days are days of hatred. And in essence, it's a practice that's of Roman origin, and this was before the period of al-Islam, and also before the message of Christianity, and it was something that was carried out in the Roman Empire, and then it carried on until after they had entered Christianity, and it was named after Saint Valentine, who was a clergyman in the Roman Empire. It was named after Saint Valentine, who was a kind of saint, and it's believed that on the 14th, that was the feast that they would use to commemorate him, and that was in the year 270. And during this day, we see the practices of the people when they commemorate this day. It's not a day in which they give thanks. Rather, it's a day in which they excessively go out and eat food and drink alcohol, and they may carry out illicit actions and do things that do not please Allah the Most High, and like listening to music, etc. And for this reason, it's something that's not to be supported or done in al-Islam. And we'll go on to the statements of the Imams of al-Islam as relates to such festivals now.
نعم. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم: من تشبه بقوم فهو منهم. من تشبه بقوم فهو منهم. ولهذا ينبغي للمسلم أن يعتز بدينه ويكتفي به ولا يزيد عليه، لأن الزيادة أسوأ من النقصان. قد قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم: من أحدث في أمرنا ما ليس منه فهو رد. والله عز وجل قد اشترط في محبته للخلق ومغفرته لذنوبهم أن يتبعوا محمدا صلى الله عليه وسلم، كما قال في سورة آل عمران في الآية 31: قل إن كنتم تحبون الله فاتبعوني يحببكم الله ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم والله غفور رحيم.
The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Whosoever imitates the people, then indeed they are from them." So it's only fitting that the Muslim feels honor in their religion and feels strength in their religion, and they do not increase upon those acts that are found in their religion. For to increase upon it is more sinful and more dangerous than to be negligent or decrease or fall short of the mark in performing actions as relates to their religion. And this is due to the narration of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, where he said, "Whosoever invents or introduces, innovates an action into our affair," meaning the religion of al-Islam, "it will be rejected." And we also see that Allah the Most High, he made obedience to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, a sign of love, where he said that which means, say, if you love Allah, say, "O Muhammad," to the people, "if you love Allah, then follow me, and as a result, Allah will love you." and he will forgive you your sins. And indeed, Allah is the one who grants forgiveness, the one who is most merciful.
وقد قال شيخ الإسلام ابن تيمية رحمه الله تعالى كما في كتابه اقتضاء الصراط المستقيم، قال قال رحمه الله تعالى عن العيد، عن أيام العيد التي تكون لغير المسلمين، قال فالموافقة فيه موافقة فيما يتميزون به من أسباب سخط الله وعقابه.
And Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, he mentions in his book the following of the straight path in the differing from the people of the hellfire. He mentions about the festivals, i.e. the festivals of other than the Muslims, that to agree with them and to be in conformity with their practices on these festivals is a reason or a means to earn Allah's displeasure.
قال ذلك في المجلد الأول في الصحيفة 7 بعد 200.
And he said this in the first volume, page 207.
وقال أيضا في مجموع الفتاوى في المجلد 25 في الصحيفة 29 بعد 300، قال وبالجملة قال رحمه الله تعالى: لا يحل للمسلمين أن يتشبهوا بهم أي بالكفار في شيء مما يختص بأعيادهم، لا من طعام ولا لباس ولا اغتسال ولا إيقاد النيران ولا تبطيل عادة من معيشة أو عبادة أو غير ذلك، ولا يحل فعل وليمة ولا الإهداء ولا البيع بما يستعان به على ذلك لأجل ذلك، ولا تمكين الصبيان ونحوهم من اللعب الذي في الأعياد، يعني في هذه الأعياد، ولا إظهار الزينة. نعم.
And he also said in the book that's entitled the Majmu' al-Fatawa, the collection of his verdicts, and this is in volume 25, page 329, it's not permissible for the Muslims to ape or to resemble the non-believers in their celebrations, not in their food, nor their drink, nor the clothes that they partake, nor in helping them to partake in these festivals through commerce or through business support, nor should they enable their children or encourage their children to take part in them, nor should they beautify themselves as the non-Muslims beautify themselves on those days.
ما ذكرنا إنما هو إلماحة مختصرة بأحكام الاحتفالات المشروعة وغير المشروعة في الإسلام، ولا يعني ما ذكرنا من أعياد للكفار الحصر، فعندهم أعياد كثيرة مثل ما يعرف بالهالوين وعيد رأس السنة وعيد ميلاد المسيح وأعياد كثيرة في كل بلاد من بلدانهم يخترعون أياما يحتفلون فيها لا يجوز للمسلمين مشاركتهم فيها ولا مخالطتهم، وإنما يحتفل المسلم بأيام العيد المشروعة وهي يوم الأضحى ويوم الفطر. أسأل الله بمنه وكرمه أن يوفق المسلمين لفهم دينهم والتمسك به وإظهاره أحسن إظهار للآخرين حتى يعرفوا الحق فيأتسوا به. أسأل جل وعلا أن يحفظنا وإياكم من مضلات الفتن، والله تعالى أعلم، وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه.
So what we've shown is a concise overview of some of the rulings, some of the conditions of celebrating in a legislated way And when we've given specific examples of that which is not permissible, of Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, birthdays, etc., we do not mean this to be a fully comprehensive list. Rather, this is just an overview. And any such celebrations like Halloween, like Christmas, etc., it's not permissible for the Muslim to partake in them. Nor is it permissible for them to partake in other festivals other than the two Eids that we have mentioned, the Eid of breaking the fast and the Eid of sacrifice. So the Muslim must adhere to these and be mindful of what we've put forward. Ask Allah the Most High to give us understanding of His religion and to give us the success to exemplify our religion and manifest it in a way that causes others to come to it and flock to it. I ask Him to save us from the trials and tribulations that are before us and around us at all times. And I ask Him to send peace, salutations, and blessings upon His Prophet Muhammad and upon his family and companions to the day of resurrection. أثابكم الله شيخنا.
آمين وإياك.
Abdul Hakim, are you with? Yeah.
Jazakallah Sheikh. Sorry, I was here. I'm just multitasking as well. Jazakallah Sheikh for a detailed explanation and a clear one as well. We had a few questions, but you've answered the questions in the talk as well, inshallah. So, I mean, it was based around birthdays as well, but you've sort of clarified that in regards to, in regards to keeping away from the celebrations, which is not mentioned in the Quran and Sunnah. So, Jazakallah for that, Sheikh. Akil, thank you, Akil. Tom, thanks again, inshallah. We'll be here next week, Sunday, same time, same place. You can also watch the videos and support Islam for Deaf by visiting the website islamfordeaf.co.uk or islamfordeaf.com. Inshallah, there's other lectures on there as well. There's Quran, there's children's programs, cartoons as well in sign language, stories of the prophets as well in sign language. Imam Norway, 40 Hadith of Imam Norway also again in sign language, and the Islam for Deaf website, inshallah. Also, we'll be doing, inshallah, programs throughout Ramadan. So, Jazakallah. Sheikh and Akil, if you want to stay on, and I'll just finish this this talk. Jazakallah.
Excellent. Thanks, Tom.